I woke up slowly, not all at once, but piece by piece, like the world was gently returning to me. First, the sound, soft waves rolling somewhere far away. Then, the warmth, a quiet sunlight resting on my face, soft, golden, calm. I didn't open my eyes yet. I just stayed there, breathing, listening, feeling. There was no rush, no reason to move. It felt like time had forgotten me, or maybe I had stepped outside of it. After a while, I slowly opened my eyes. The wooden ceiling above me looked warm and familiar now. The soft light moved slowly across the room, and for a moment, I just watched the dust particles floating in the air, drifting, without direction, like tiny pieces of a dream that hadn't fully disappeared yet. I sat up slowly. The blanket slipped gently from my shoulders, still warm, still comforting. And that's when it returned, the memory. This wasn't a dream. I was still here, on the island. I placed my feet on the floor. The wood felt warm, almost alive, as if it had been waiting for me to wake up. I stood up slowly, walked toward the door, and paused for a moment before opening it. I don't know why, but something about mornings here felt important. Like every day was something new, something quiet, but meaningful. I opened the door. Soft air greeted me immediately, warm, gentle, carrying the scent of flowers, trees, and the ocean. The sky was clear, a soft blue, with only a few clouds drifting slowly above. Everything looked untouched, peaceful.
Oh, good morning.
Her voice was soft, familiar. I turned. Isabel stood a few steps away, smiling, like she always did. But today, it felt different, softer, calmer. We started walking together, not towards anything specific, just walking. And somehow, that felt like enough. The small paths beneath our feet curved gently through the island, lined with flowers that moved softly in the breeze. White, yellow, soft pink. Everything felt balanced.
Did you sleep well?
I nodded. I think so. It felt different, like I didn't dream, but I still remember something.
Sometimes rest doesn't need dreams.
We kept walking, and the longer we walked, the more it felt like the world around us slowed down. The sounds became softer, the air warmer. Even my thoughts became quieter. I didn't feel like I had to think about anything. Then, something changed. It was small, almost unnoticeable, but I felt it. The air shifted, softer, but deeper. And then we saw them. Lanterns, small ones, placed carefully along a narrow path, one after another, glowing softly, just enough to guide. I slowed down. Were these here before?
No.
The light flickered slightly. We stood there for a moment, neither of us speaking, just watching and listening, because even the silence here felt like it was saying something.
Do you want to follow them?
I nodded, and we stepped onto the path. With every step, the world changed. Slowly, the sky shifted, from blue to warm orange to soft violet. It felt like we were moving through time. At the end of the path, the house appeared again, but now it felt more alive. Warm light glowed from the windows. Soft shadows moved behind the curtains. Before we could knock, the door opened. Tom Nook stood there, calm, smiling.
I'm glad you found your way back.
Back. That word stayed with me. Inside, everything felt slower, warmer, softer. The air carried the scent of tea and something sweet, like baked bread. We sat down. No rush. No expectations. Tom Nook poured tea slowly, carefully, like every movement mattered. I wrapped my hands around the cup. Warm, comforting, real. I just stayed there, listening, breathing, being. In the corner, I noticed it. A simple dartboard. Nothing special, but somehow it felt right.
Do you want to try?
I nodded. We stood up slowly, took turns, each throw quiet, soft, no pressure, just small moments of focus, small moments of calm, and gentle laughter in between. Then the door opened. Someone stepped in. A white dog, holding a guitar, calm, quiet, present. It was K.K. Slider. He simply sat down, closed his eyes, and began to play. The first note was soft, almost too soft, but it stayed. It lingered in the air. Then another, and another, each one slow, careful, warm. The music wasn't loud. It just existed. I leaned back slightly, closed my eyes, and let the sound surround me. Every note felt like a memory that I couldn't fully remember, but somehow understood. I think, I whispered softly, this place isn't just real. It feels like something I've been missing.
Maybe you didn't lose it. Maybe you just needed to find it again.
The silence that followed her words was like a warm blanket. But then, the music changed slightly, becoming a bit more playful, yet still very slow. I felt a small, gentle nudge on my arm. I turned my head slowly. Isabel was standing next to me, her eyes sparkling in the dim light.
Hey, it's your turn again. No sleeping yet. Time to stand up.
I smiled and stood up. My movements were slow, as if I were moving through honey. We walked back to the dartboard. Isabel took the first dart. She didn't even look like she was trying. She just let it go, and it hit the board with a tiny, satisfying thud. Then she handed the next one to me. Our paws touched for a second, and her fur felt as soft as silk. I took a deep breath, smelling the faint scent of cinnamon and old books that seemed to follow her. I threw the dart. It landed right next to hers. We played another round, and then another. It wasn't about the points. It was about the way the light danced on the wall every time we moved. It was about the quiet, "Wow," she whispered when I hit the center. Every movement was a dance, slow, steady, and completely peaceful. In the background, K.K. Slider shifted his weight. He started a new song. This one was even slower. The notes sounded like silver bells ringing in the distance. The melody seemed to wrap around the room, making the walls feel closer and safer. Tom Nook stood up quietly. He didn't make a sound on the wooden floor. He walked over to the window and looked out at the dark trees, then turned back to us with a look of pure kindness.
It is getting late, and the stars are already out. There is no need to walk back in the dark. I have a guest room upstairs, with many soft pillows. You are all welcome to stay here tonight.
I looked at Isabel. She nodded slowly, her eyes already half closed from the cozy warmth of the room. "Thank you, Tom," I whispered. "That sounds perfect." Tom walked over to the lamps. One by one, he dimmed them. The room didn't get dark. It just turned into a world of soft shadows and deep orange glows. We moved to the large window seat. We sat there together, leaning against the soft cushions. Outside, the sky was incredible. Thousands of stars, like tiny diamonds scattered on black velvet. They didn't flicker. They glowed steadily. We watched a shooting star trail slowly across the horizon, disappearing behind the tall cedar trees.
Look, the Big Dipper. It looks so close, like we could just reach out and touch it.
The guest room was filled with the scent of fresh linen and dried lavender. The beds were so soft, it felt like lying on a cloud. I stayed awake for just a few more minutes, watching the moonlight crawl across the floor. I could hear the others breathing quietly nearby. We were all safe. We were all together. The last thing I heard was one single long note from the guitar downstairs, vibrating gently in the air. My eyes closed. My thoughts drifted away, floating out the window, up towards the stars. I wasn't looking for anything anymore. I was just here. Good night, everybody. Good night, Island.